Hey guys, just wanted to make a quick video talking about this new patch notes that have been released. They're pretty interesting, honestly, and you can read them on the screen if you so wish to, but I'm going to talk about them quite a lot. This first thing is pretty, I don't know what to say really. It's good and it's bad at the same time. I mean, I don't like that people farm treasure goblins and stuff in Act 1 at the moment, and Act 2, like constantly just farming treasure goblins. I think that's a really boring way to play the game, and isn't really how it's meant to be playing the game. And this is just basically buffing that strategy, honestly. Like, if you can farm Inferno Act 1 and still get loot that's worth like Inferno levels, that's just ridiculous. Like, how is that? I don't know how that makes any sense, but yeah. The one good thing about this is that they're keeping Whimsy Shear as like a high level zone, so in theory, farming Whimsy Shear should be the best thing in the game. But this is also obviously going to like cause the auction house to just fucking erupt with shit, basically. That's a really vulgar sentence, but it's the only way I can really put it. If you can find Orders Act 4 like 1,500 DPS weapons, and you can find them in Act 1, there's going to be a hell of a lot more than them, so auction house prices just to go completely down. This obviously changes hardcore mode quite a bit as well for any of you who actually play hardcore. Like, being able to get Act 4 and Act 3 loot in Act 1 is huge, as there's not many people at all who are in Act 3 and can actually farm chests in Act 3 and whatever. This is quite a long one, so I'm going to go over it like a little bit at a time really. So moving on to part 2 of this thing. The Nephilim Valor thing I think is really good, honestly. That is another thing that's going to make Whimsy Shear just ridiculous to farm, because you already get 5 stacks if you follow how I do it. So farming champion packs and bosses, whatever, like not bosses but actual like yellow mobs with Nephilim Valor should be really sick. This also makes like farming Asmodan and Cydia a lot worse, because you're not guaranteed to get like rares on bosses. Which I don't know, it's kind of confusing, and it also makes Skeleton King and Butcher worse to farm for people who are in Act 1 and Act 2 gear, but then at the same time it makes it better because of the first changes which give you Act 4 and Act 3 loot for Skeleton King and Butcher. This group thing is something I really want to talk about quite a bit, because I did say I was going to do duo videos with the Barbarian tank that I play with, but I mean, it basically came to the conclusion that like, it's actually easier to just farm single, like in single games, and then join each other's games when we get something worthwhile. So maybe this change will actually make duo play and group play, whatever, actually worthwhile, because at the moment, if I want to play solo, it's actually the most beneficial way for me to play, because I have a lot of DPS, so I can kill shit solo easily. There's nothing that really stops me at all in solo games. Like, even reflect damage nowadays I can deal with, there's just nothing that stops me, whereas in group games I feel like I'm held down by the group scenario, which isn't really a good thing in games like Diablo. So yeah, when this patch hits, expect to see a lot of duo videos, because it's something I really do actually want to do, but at the moment it's just not beneficial or worth the time to do. Now this is a really big thing. Inferno balance right now has a difficulty gap in Act 1, feels about right, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4 feel too hard, whatever. And then they're going to be lowering the damage and health of monsters in Inferno Act 2, Act 3 and Act 4. I'm really not sure about this, honestly. Like, Act 2, the mobs are ridiculous, let's not lie. They are just stupid. But in Act 3 and Act 4, I really don't feel like the damage is too high. Like, maybe that's me, I'm not sure, but I really don't feel like it's too high at all. And then they say they want to keep Act 1, Act 2, 3 and 4 challenging, but then they're really not going to keep them challenging if they reduce the damage and health of monsters. Like, I think it's already kind of too easy to do Act 2 and Act 3. Like, Act 4 is really not tough either. So I mean, they're going to reduce the gear you need to do it, but by doing that, they're going to reduce the difficulty requirement, which means that like everyone is going to be in Act 4 in Inferno as long as they have half a brain, because right now you actually have to have some gear and like have to farm to do it. But after this change, I don't know, I don't think this is a very good change at all. This repair cost thing, like a lot of people really hate it, because at the end of the day it's like, I think they say it's 5 to 6 times or something like that. Yeah, 4 to 6 times their current values of repair costs. Right now a full repair for me is about 8 or 9k. So I mean, 8 times 6 is like 48. It's a lot of gold for 48k for a full repair. I don't really want to be paying that. But at the same time, I also don't want to have to kill mobs by checkpoint dying like a lot of people do. And I used to do, not gonna lie, I used to checkpoint kill mobs a lot. But that's gonna be really inefficient now. Because I mean, if you're paying 48k to kill a champion pack, or even like 30k, so you die like a couple of times, that's still really expensive and adds up like super quick, and it's definitely not worth just getting blues from. So I like this change a lot, even though a lot of people hate it. Moving on to part 3. The attack speed bugs is great because, as you know, I really hate the fact that I spent 5 million gold on attack speed items that don't work. That's really not cool. And nerfing attack speed is okay, I guess. However, it's really not the big problem with items right now. The biggest problem is just having too much crit damage on items, which is, I think, to be honest, is a real problem. Stacking attack speed is good because it reduces animations, makes you be able to kite easier, all of that kind of thing. But it really depends how much you reduce it by. So like, it just reduced it flat by like 20% for every item. I think that's like a decent amount, because then you still have enough attack speed to feel attack speed, but it wouldn't be like useless as they might make it. Moving on to the gems, I am not sure this is a good change. I mean, right now, yeah, it does cost a lot to make a good gem, but that's what makes good gems, you know? Like, so I think it's perfect square and above will remain unchanged. I think that's good, obviously, because you want them to still cost some gold to make. However, I'm not really sure. Like, they should have kept it at 3 gems instead of 2 gems, because nerfing everything at once is a bit much. Like, the gold cost and the gem cost, rather than just the gem cost, you know. That would have made more sense, maybe. But I mean, for all the squares going from 20,000 gold a gem to 100 gold a gem, like, where did they get the idea that this was a good jump in money kind of thing? Like, it kind of coincides with the repair costs, I guess, because people are going to have less gold if they're spending more on repairs. So I guess it makes sense in some kind of way. And there's not really much to talk about with this nerf me, buff them thing. Basically they're going to change a couple of things with skills and whatever, but it's really nothing to talk about. Yeah, this last bit with the whole auction house improvements thing, from what I've seen, they plan to add a thing where you can do like World of Warcraft, where you can hover over an item and press Alt or whatever, and you can see what kind of damage, life, protection you lose in game from buying items, so you don't buy items stupidly. Because at the moment you can, like, an item looks good, however mathematically it doesn't actually give you damage increase, and you spend a couple of 100k or millions on it. Sort of like my boots and my legs, you know. If they'd have told me that they didn't give me damage increase, I wouldn't have bought them. Then I would have known the attack speed didn't work. But just quality of life, really. I think it's a great thing to add to the game. It just adds to the game in general, so I'm quite happy with that. I didn't realise I've been talking about this for 7 minutes, which is actually quite a long time. But hopefully you enjoy those kind of things. I like to do them just to talk about the game, really. I quite enjoy talking about the game. So if you'd like to see more of this kind of thing, just leave me a comment and let me know. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to my channel, obviously, as I try and keep up to date with Diablo, as it's the main thing I'm focusing on right now. So yeah, thanks for watching this video.